Well, good evening. This is an exciting night tonight, and I'm sure you have tuned in to find out a little bit more about the MAP team and how to become part of MAP4LIFE. And wherever you are, it doesn't matter what part of the planet, our mandate is very clear. I've often been asked, what is MAP4LIFE all about? And the mandate is crystal clear. And that mandate was given to me back in the year 1978. Yes, that was a long time ago. And back then, I was still in primary school. I had hair. I was a fast runner. I was flexible. I did all kinds of interesting things. And yes, life changes. And I'm hoping that at this point in my life, I have a little bit more wisdom than I did then. Sometimes I wonder. And just earlier this morning, I was saying to Peter Darrell, who many of you are familiar with, I said, why is it that when I was a teenager, I knew everything, and now that I'm a little bit more wise, I feel like I don't know anything? And he said, well, that's a syndrome we all go through. We all feel at the age of 13 to 18, we know everything. But then as we go through life, we learn there are lessons that teach us, and we become wiser and less quick to give answers to things. And I trust that this evening is going to be an interesting talk for you, and that it's going to help you to make a decision as to what level of engagement you would like with MAP4LIFE. And so I thought I would start by just sharing very briefly the MAP4LIFE mandate, which I mentioned already, which is to map the world. And the next thing is the mission. So I'm going to stick with the M's for a moment. And the mission is to make life purposeful. And to do that, we have a method. And that method is summed up in a mission statement, which I wrote in the first book called My History in the Making back in the year 1999. And I said that we're going to equip people to pursue their purpose with passion and perseverance for life. And in that objective, we have created a tool that has very effectively helped people to put together a master action plan for their life, and in the process, discover their purpose and become effective in the things that they do, in using their gifts and talents. And so somebody asked me, okay, so when is the world going to be mapped? And my response was, well, you've just discovered a secret about MAP4LIFE. And we spell mapped M-A-P-D, M-A-P-D. And these four letters have helped us to understand many different aspects of the MAP4LIFE methodology, the MAP4LIFE business, and the different things that we offer within MAP4LIFE. But the focus tonight is the MAP team. And in the context of the MAP team, what do these letters stand for? I just want to get my name out the way there, because I'm sure you all know my name. It doesn't need to be there. We'll put it back up when I introduce the panel to you tonight. So the first level of engagement before one becomes part of the team is just to be a mapper. Literally somebody who's using MAP4LIFE. And I think anybody who uses MAP4LIFE, and when I say use it, I'm not talking about purchasing the product and putting it in your bookshelf, okay? Because this is not a book to be read. This is a book to be used. In fact, it's not even a book. This is a lifestyle. And MAP4LIFE empowers you to really live out your purpose with passion. That is the mandate of the book. The book is there to ignite, to germinate, to invigorate, to wake you up, in a sense. It's like an alarm clock. When you work through Map for Life, things awaken inside of you that connect you with the mandate for your life. And that's why so many people have discovered their purpose. So when I talk about being a mapper, I'm talking about a person who's using Map for Life, who's directing their future, and who's stepping every single day closer towards the vision that they have. So if you are a mapper, we would love to have you as part of the MAP team. So the MAP team comprises 4 different groups of people. And the first group are those who we call mentors. A mentor is somebody who has been through the Map for Life training. They've completed the 20-day program. They're implementing the process. They've attended or been part of the MAP club, and they really have a deep understanding of how the methodology works, to the point where they can guide other people through the process. And we need many, many mentors. You can imagine when Map for Life is a global organization, a global organism, a living thing with people engaged all over the world, every part, every city, every village, every town, every district, every county, whatever name you like to call them. When we have people in all those places, we would love to have small connect groups. We call them the MAP cafes, and these MAP cafes need to be led by mentors, people who are able to guide others in a better and deeper understanding of the Map for Life methodology, but not only that, to help them to grow in different aspects of life. And so a mentor is a very, very key responsibility within the Map for Life team. Maybe I should just hasten to say that everybody in Map for Life is a mapper. But there are these roles, these different responsibilities that you can take on, and you can enjoy the fulfillment that comes with helping other people on their journey of purpose. So if you're the kind of person who loves to interact with people, and you would enjoy having a small group, when I say a small group, anything from 4 to 12 people that gather on a weekly basis and talk about various elements that are related to the MAP methodology, but also in general. Like this year, our theme is leadership, and if you'd like to guide them through various discussions relating to that, then being a mentor is something that you should consider. The next opportunity for our mappers to engage is to become an associate. And an associate is somebody who teaches the Map for Life methodology. And you know, a teacher is somebody who either has a class, so it's like a training session. If you remember, if you go back to your school days, you would attend a class, a lecture, or something where somebody is presenting the methodology to you, and there's a lot of class or group interaction. It's fun, it's motivational, it's exciting. It's really something that ignites my fire. When I stand in front of a group of people and share the incredible insights that we've learned over the years with Map for Life and teach them this technology, it is incredibly fulfilling. And if you would like to be a trainer who teaches groups of people, or on the other hand, you love to coach people through a process, one-on-one, or maybe a small group of 4 people. If you are that kind of individual, then being an associate with Map for Life is the perfect place for you to engage. We will provide you with detailed training, not only to understand the methodology, but also to take a look more at the business side of Map for Life, and to teach you about our strategy, our approach, our philosophy, and various other things. I think in the corporate environment, you might hear the term target market. We just simply use the word domain. Okay, so we will teach you about these different things and empower you to effectively operate your own business. And on the 1st of July this year, we are excited to be starting a process where our associates will start receiving direct traffic from the MAP4LIFE website. And that we trust is going to keep them very busy and very engaged in coaching or training others. And yes, it is for an income, and this will be an effective business that you can run. The third level of engagement is that of partner. As the name suggests, this is somebody who is really sold on the idea of making life purposeful, to the point where they appreciate the value that the MAP4LIFE methodology offers, to the point where they want to see the people within their territory. What is a territory? Within their city, within their village, within their town, effectively mapped. And so a partner is somebody who's really there to help establish the infrastructure of MAP4LIFE. In other words, to make sure the support systems are in place for all of the mappers within their territory, to ensure that there's a strong, vibrant club engagement that is supported by a team of mentors, and that there are sufficient trainers within their territory, associates, as I've mentioned, that are able to constantly train people, either in schools, in organizations, or individuals. So a partner is somebody who takes a different kind of role to the associate. An associate is focused on building their own business, where they generate an income from training, and they can do it wherever they find themselves, anywhere on the planet. So if you want to fly to London and go do training, you are encouraged to do so. A partner, on the other hand, takes responsibility for a geographic territory and focuses on establishing the MAP4LIFE footprint within that area. And really is the term that I would like to use for a partner. It is somebody who demonstrates stewardship. Stewardship is different from the ownership idea. Stewardship is where you're preparing the groundwork, you're laying the foundation so that MAP4LIFE becomes a perpetual business, organization, organism, movement, whatever you want to call it, that it is perpetual in nature and follows from one generation to the next. And each partner that steps into that role within that territory over the generations will grow that foundation and make it more and more effective, to the point where MAP4LIFE becomes institutionalized. And when I say institutionalized, it becomes a way of life for people. I don't think that if there's an effective partner within a village or city, that in time, every single school child that leaves school will have a clearly defined master action plan for their life. They will have an understanding of their gifts and talents. They will be leading with purpose. They will be passionate about life. And that's the kind of people that we want to bring to the fore. I was just having a conversation with somebody last night. We had friends visiting us. And the conclusion we came to is that children enter into the schooling system as a unique identifiable individual. But when they leave the schooling system, they are no longer called by their name. They are called by the thing that they have become. Their matric certificate, a little piece of paper that says what grades you got, travels with them for life. And they are judged according to their performance when they were still a teenager. How sad a society we have that has got to that point. So many children that leave school today, when you ask them, what are you going to do when you finish school? The answer is, I don't know. You ask people after 40 years of working at the age of retirement, what are you going to do when you're retired? And the answer is still the same. I don't know. Now, partners in MAP4LIFE are going to change that. Partners are going to change that to the effect that there's nobody in their territory is going to be seeking to be retired at all. Because when you are connected with what you love doing, who wants to stop? Who wants to give that up? The only people that want to retire are people that are doing something that they've been trained to do, not something that they've been gifted to do. When you are employing your gifts and talents, you love what you do. And so a partner is somebody who engages in MAP4LIFE in a way that they represent the whole concept of connecting people with purpose. And so we would love to have a partner in every single village, city, district, county around the world. And if you are in a place right now where you are perhaps the only mapper that you know, then maybe you're the perfect candidate to become a partner. And we'll provide you with all the training that's necessary. And our training is, the way our training works is we walk you up to the start line, not to the finish line. So when the training ends, the training begins. In other words, we walk with you constantly into the future, and we look forward to partnering with you wherever you might be. The final level of engagement is that of director. And a director is somebody who literally is MAP4LIFE. And when I say literally is MAP4LIFE, they are the kind of people that invest in the MAP4LIFE brand to the point where they become responsible for the reproduction of materials. They make sure that all the logistics are in place for the partners, associates, and mentors within their province or within their country or within their region. So there's 3 levels of director. We use the term province in South Africa for the next level of demarcation that sits just below national. Okay, so when your country, our country is divided up into sub areas called provinces. In other countries, they have sub areas called regions. In some countries, they have sub areas called states or districts. So it's the largest subdivision that you have within your country. That would be the first level of director. The next will be at national level, so for a country. And then we would also like to see, in the fullness of time, directors that take responsibility for a region. And the region that I'm talking about right now would be something like South America, Central America, Oceania, or Australasia, as some people might better know it as, Asia, Arabia, West Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa. These are regions. Regions are a collection of 12 or more countries, and we would see directors at that level, and those directors will in all likelihood be appointed. So the question is, how do I become a director? Well, to become a director, you need to first be a successful partner. When we started out in MAP4LIFE in 2007, we allowed people to engage as directors from the onset, and they could make an investment in MAP4LIFE. They would be provided with all the necessary training and take responsibility for territory. What we've realized subsequent to that is that it's really important that the person first understands MAP4LIFE fully, that they confirm that Map for Life is something that is aligned with their purpose and passion, that it's something that they want to be engaged in for life. And when they have sufficient experience and sufficient knowledge, and they've demonstrated that this is really their calling, if I could say. I know Ngwadi, who will be joining us in a while, knows the word calling. If this is their calling, then those are the people that we will invite to become directors, and they will then have certain key responsibilities and key roles in the bigger global Map for Life picture. I hope that what I've shared with you this evening just gives you a little bit of an insight as to the opportunity that's there and for where you can get involved and become a part of Map for Life. Our mandate is to map the world, but more importantly, our mission is to make life purposeful. And if we can connect every single mapper with their unique God-given purpose, I believe without a doubt that the outcome of that is going to be world transformation. And if you want to be part of that kind of mandate, that kind of mission, then I would encourage you and invite you to make contact with me. It's very easy. Just send a message to Glen at MAP4LIFE.com or visit our website, MAP4LIFE.com, and on there you'll find my contact details. You'll find my phone number. Send me a WhatsApp. Let's start talking. Let's engage. I'm ready and waiting to empower you to be a mentor. Let me just put it up there. A mentor, which is a leader of a small group, an associate who's an effective coach or trainer, a partner who takes and maps his territory, and a director who fully and completely represents Map for Life within their province, country, or region. Thank you so much for listening this evening. Bucks and Ngwadi are going to be joining me. Maybe Henny will be able to join us as well later, but I know that he's in a wonderful place. I was going to say he's in the bush, but he's not. He's actually on the beach, my other favorite spot. So Henny's away at the moment. But you know, when you have people that are committed, they're even willing to take a break from their holiday and connect in. So Henny, we really appreciate that. And if you are able to reconnect, we'd love to have you part of the panel, but we understand your connectivity right now. So after the short break, I will be inviting Ngwadi from East London, South Africa, and Bucks all the way from his neighboring city, Port Elizabeth, both from the southern coast of South Africa. I will see you shortly after this break. Well, good evening, and Bucks and Ngwadi, wonderful to have you part of this evening session. I'm just going to pop your names up there so people can also read, because sometimes we hear names like Bucks and we wonder, how do we spell that name? And Ngwadi, that certainly sounds difficult. So for those of you who didn't quite hear my pronunciation well, here are the two gentlemen. They've been part of Map for Life for as long as I can remember. And I know Bucks is someone who attended my my second training, but public training that I did in Pretoria, South Africa. Interestingly, Bucks, I traveled all the way from East London to visit Pretoria to train you. Now you've gone all the way back down to that part of the world. Why don't you just quickly greet the people and tell us a bit about yourself?
Good evening, all. Yeah, my name is Bux Badenhorst. I'm I don't want to give my age away, but I'm a senior citizen at the moment. But
I like
I
that.
started,
Thanks.
but why I'm involved with MAP4LIFE. I'm a professional HR practitioner, and a lot of stuff that I especially the last couple of years, and even in the future more so, is that we need to change the landscape of HR, and by that I mean we need to start to think differently about our employees. Now, it's difficult to give a term to that is really humane. I think some of the names we call them human resources, but you cannot be a resource. It's not like something you take of yourself or you purchase and have a time due date or a expiry date. But the most common term that we can use is human capital development. Now, I have this is my whole mission and my whole vision and my whole purpose and that's my only value that I have in my business, is that every person in the world have a right to develop and grow. Now,
I love that idea, Bux.
and I find it easy for people to grow if I take them through a MAP4LIFE process. But then because then they know where they want to grow to. And that does not just mean growing in their business or in their employment or wherever they work. That includes it. But the whole growth process and development process of the individual, of the person, is where do I want to take my life to? And
Bux, thank you so much for sharing that. I was just when you were saying HR, I love putting words together, and for me the HR stood for highly recommended, and I think is highly recommended, and I can see great things happening. And something in MAP4LIFE, we have another role for people to play, and Gwadi's moving in that direction. And Bux has already qualified to be in that position. And so if you've been part of MAP4LIFE for 10 years or longer, in other words, if you've been a mapper for 10 years or longer, and you've passed the age of 70, that's 70. If you've passed there and God has spared you, then we want you to be a guardian with MAP4LIFE. So, and Gwadi, we're looking forward to that day when we can welcome you as a guardian, and that you will make sure we stay true to our values, and that we speedily move towards the implementation of our vision. So just for those people who are joining us tonight for the first time and you haven't met Gwadi, I wonder if he met my sister-in-law in the last week or so. But Ngwadi is a friend of my father. My father passed away about just over 3 years ago. And he used to often visit my father on the farm. He had a ministry just outside of, or just past the farm. When I say just past, everything's relative, but about 5 kilometers or so beyond our farm, he used to minister there. And I think he saw the farm as a good place to stop and have a cup of tea. So, Ngwadi, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself, because it's wonderful to have you joining us tonight, and maybe just share briefly a little bit about your recent past and why you're looking so healthy tonight.
Good evening, Glen. Good evening, Bugs. Good evening, everybody. I am Gwadim Zamo from East London. And I first knew about MAP4LIFE on the very same farm of Glen's dad. That's when I started to be introduced to MAP4LIFE. And Glen was there on a visit from Pretoria. I think he was on holiday. So that's how I started to know about MAP4LIFE. And as he's indicating that when we're passing the farm, we had been ministering at Kinza East. There's a township there near Kinza East, and also in Mdazane. Then in Mdazane, where we're ministering in the Child and Youth Center, of which, since I'm referring, that is instead of retiring from work in 2015, that's where the focus is, because we're dealing with children from age 3 up to 18. So we thought with my colleague that if we can start to invest in those kids so that they could be better future citizens, so that will be a very good investment for us we can be doing. And recently, on the 17th of March, I underwent a 4-way heart bypass surgery at St. Dominic's in East London Hospital. So now this is my 10th week now. I'm recovering from that 4-way bypass operation, heart bypass operation. And I think I've taken a good decision to go that route, because as I've indicated, for instance, now we're busy dealing with youth here in Tanzania, and also we will also go to Kinza East. The church comprises about 90% young people or children and all that. So, which is now, it gives me some more years to continue pursuing the mission and vision for what I'm busy with. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Ngwadi, thank you so much for sharing that. And I remember so clearly the Bucks, when I was when I met Ngwadi, I'd been on our neighboring, when I say neighboring, a piece of land across the main road from where the farmhouse was, and I'd actually been feeding the cattle and pouring the food into the trough. And anybody who's a farmer will understand what I'm talking about. The cattle, they are amazing. They just like pets. They are well trained. When they see the bucky coming, they know there's food. And so I was driving the bucky to these old baths that my father had put on the farm. And the cattle came running. They chased me down, and so by the time I arrived at these baths and I started putting the food into the troughs, the cattle arrived there, and I was surrounded by cattle. Of course, I saw the bull coming, so I stepped back to give him a bit of space. And while I was standing there, a blessed buck. I'm using words that maybe our non-African people won't know, because we have animals here in this part of the world. And a blessed buck, I'm sure both of you have seen a blessed buck. They've got a white nose, and they've got a target painted on their bum just about. But this blessed buck came running past between me and a beautiful view of the ocean. And I suddenly realized that here I was surrounded by a game farm, living on a farm, and I had been there all my life and never realized that I was living my dream. And so the topic or the title for the next year's book was Live Your Dream. And it was at that time, Ngwadi, that you and I met and we had that chat on the farm. So it's a wonderful memory. And you've just highlighted this evening that instead of retiring, we talk in MAP4LIFE about refiring. We talk about revitalizing. But tonight I thought of a new word, and that was repurpose. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard about repurposing old furniture. Well, I don't want to see it in that context at all. I want to see it in this context. You know, for people that are about that we know, I'm sure there's many of your friends that are in that sort of space where they're thinking about retirement, or maybe they have. If we talk to them about repurposing, the word re refers to return. And so it's to return to the original purpose for which you were created. Imagine if we can repurpose, get people to reconnect with their original mandate. How many people are going to be fired up and excited about the future? And so, Bucks, you're working in an HR type environment, and I think there's potential for you to start maybe thinking about this concept of engaging with people who are into those final years of their employment and start whispering to them about the idea of deployment. Start changing their vocabulary from retirement to repurpose, refire, refurbish, whatever it might be. What are your thoughts on that, Bucks?
Glen, you know, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's certainly something that should be done, first of all. And I mean, I can talk about my personal life. Is you got to at some stage or some age in your life, you got to start all over again. And what you're going to do is critical, because that's going to determine what you're going to do the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
But currently, for me, the challenge is for employers to understand that they need to get to the lowest category of employee, or the youngest employee in their business, and get them to find their purpose and their passion. And you know, once people understand that I can live my passion still working for an employer, and most people don't understand that I can still live my passion but working for an employer. And if I live my passion and working for the employer, what a bargain for the employer, because that will be just because if I love my passion, I'll give everything, all my energy to my work. And that's where I say,
you're talking about something so important, and I just want to I wanted to just welcome Jane. Jane's not in the studio, but she is engaged with us from Uganda. I'm using Uganda because I'm not too sure if she's in Kampala or whether she's with her parents in Soroti. But she's tuning in from a far away. And you know what's interesting about the four of us? The four of us is that each of us come from a different culture, a different language, yet we share something in common, and that brings us together. And you know, that's exciting about MAP4LIFE. It recognizes that wherever you were dropped off on the planet, whatever physical body you were given, God created you for such a time as this, and He gave He gave you all the gifts and talents that you need, and he gave you a mandate, a purpose. And that for me is so exciting. So to have Jane, who probably can speak, and Jane, you can correct me, can speak Luganda, and we've got Bix, who's very, very good at Afrikaans. Or for those of you who don't know what Afrikaans is, it's a form of Flemish or Dutch. So you might, if you're from that part of the world, you might understand Bix when he breaks off into his home language. And of course, isiXhosa. isiXhosa, let me say it properly, from Ngwadi all the way from the Eastern Cape. And it's just so wonderful for us to be able to connect together, because Ngwadi, I was so sad. When I say sad, and I'm saying this publicly, maybe I shouldn't be saying it publicly, but Ngwadi was at my dad's funeral, and when I was speaking about my father, I saw him there in the crowd, and I didn't get to chat to him afterwards. But that's the kind of person he is. He's there, and it's just so nice to have the opportunity for people with different perspectives in life to connect together, so we can learn from one another. And I know, Ngwadi, you are a specialist at this. I mean, you are so good at connecting with all kinds of people. Why don't you just share something of your story in terms of engaging with other cultures, and how do you manage? I mean, I'm sure your working career put you in interesting situations. Why don't you share something with us?
I think what is important in life is the understanding of a human being, first and foremost, that we're all human beings. And irrespective of our various backgrounds, let's take, for instance, my work life in the public service of 40 years. So the reason why for me it was easier to connect with various people of various backgrounds is to know what is the goal of us being here.
Yeah.
So you must be focused on the goal. We must be focused on the purpose. We must be focused on a mission and vision of the place or site where we happen to meet. So the moment now we have got that, it's going to be easier for you to interact with various people, and also to lead such a multi-racial workforce, is because instead of focusing on individuals, but you focus on the purpose and the goal which is bringing you here. So for me, it has helped me. And another thing, I think what I would say is that this is what I use to advise colleagues at work. There will be colleagues who will come to me that they have got difficulties in working with so-and-so because of his character and conduct. And my advice will be that a character we are not going to be able to, you are not going to be able to change somebody's character because it's something which is inborn. What is important is for one to make sure that he is working around that character. And the moment you work around that character, you find that at the end of the day, somebody who has been labeled as being difficult and tough, but the moment you master to work around his or her character, it becomes easier for you to come closer to him or her. And then you find that now you can even establish or discover that in actual fact, he or she has got a soft heart and all that. So it's not right. So hence I'm saying that what is important, it's important that make sure that your purpose or goal is at the center, and then all other things will be falling into place. This is what I think I would suggest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ngwadi. And I was, as you were sharing, the one thing that I've noticed in traveling to different countries, when I ask people, what are your likes and dislikes, and what's amazing is that people from very different backgrounds to me share the same likes and dislikes. And when I ask questions of that nature, I suddenly find that actually we have a lot more in common than we have that we have different to one another. And when you start focusing on the common things, and one of the common things that we all share is that we all want to be accepted, we all want to be encouraged, we all want to be loved. And if we can be that to other people, I think that we will see an exciting transformation. I was just imagining Jane, Bucks, Ngwadi, and myself going on a tour to Poland and engaging people there, and for them to catch a little picture of what MAP4LIFE looks like. This diverse group of people that are able to inspire others in a unique and exciting way. And I just love to hear your wisdom from the years of the environment that you've in. And I know you've shared many of these stories with me in person. And it's just so nice to hear how you deal with difficult people sometimes gently, to the point where that exterior barrier that they've put up is softened, and you're able to meet the real person behind the facade. And if we begin to realize that many people behave in certain ways simply because they've been hurt in the past, or maybe they're having difficulties in their home environment, if we're sensitive to that, I think we can build bridges instead of barriers. And we are perfectly placed to do that. God is preparing MAP4LIFE for the world, not just for one country, not just for one group of people, but for the world. And so it's necessary for us to learn from you. Thank you, Ngwadi, for sharing. I wanted to maybe just make myself available. Maybe there's some questions that either of you have, or perhaps something that you think other people might be asking in relation to the topic this evening of being part of the MAP team. So let's, and Jane as well, if you want to ask any questions from your side, please do so. You can just type it in. Anybody watching on Facebook or YouTube, even if it's the recording after this live show, just post a question or pop us a WhatsApp message, and we'd love to answer your queries. So Bucks, I'll let you ask first. I hope you have a question. If not, you've got a response or you want to share something in a similar line to what Ngwadi was doing, you're welcome to do so.
Glen, I'm, let's call it the structure. I like it. I mean, it's workable. It's really workable, and it makes sense. So I'm totally agree with it. The only thing that maybe a little bit of guidance from you. There's a difference between a full-time person doing MAP4LIFE on a full-time basis, or as some of us on a part-time basis. Now, if it's a part-time basis, I do it in my business. But what I find difficult is, how do I market it? How do I market it when I talk to my clients, when I talk to people in businesses, as a part-time mapper or a part-time associate or whatever the case may be?
Well, I would like to maybe suggest that you are actually a full-time mapper, and everybody's a full-time mapper. In other words, MAP4LIFE is the methodology you use to move from where you are to whatever that destination might be. So I hear what you're saying about part-time and full-time, because there are those terminologies in the employment environment. You know, if a person's employed part-time, it means they work either half day or for some hours in the week, whereas a full-time person is a slave for 40 hours a week. Okay, so there's that difference. And so,
can I just, Glen, you're totally right. We're all mappers.
yeah.
But when I become an associate or a partner and even a director, is that sort of becoming now a little bit more official, in terms of the MAP4LIFE structure. But it's an official position, but be done on a part-time basis.
Okay,
and that's the difficulty.
You're using good terminology, Bucks, and I'm glad you're using these things, because I've spent a lot of time, and the reason I used the term mapper this evening is I want people to appreciate that we're all the same, but there are different roles that we can play, and those roles come with responsibilities. So they're not titles, they're not positions like you would have in a company organization. It's just a responsibility that you've taken on because you believe that you can actually do something of value and provide that to people. So people are able to engage with MAP4LIFE part-time or full-time. Okay, it's entirely up to the individual's personal vision and purpose relating to MAP4LIFE. Why I said being a mapper full-time is important is so that when you are engaging with clients and you are there with your HR hat on, you are talking to people who themselves have a purpose. They are running a business that should be purposeful. And so the opportunities may present themselves for you to say, you know, I have a solution that could address the need that you have. So I think MAP4LIFE itself is a structured methodology, but it's flexible enough for any application. So instead of us trying to offer people or force a product onto people and to sell our product to them, our approach should rather be to listen out for the need. How does a need present itself? It presents itself as a problem, as an obstacle, as something that they are struggling with in their organization. And if you are there and you understand what their need is, you can simply, I would often say to people when I'm in that situation to say, I see the need that you have. I want to go and think a bit more clearly about it because I may have a solution for you. And then I step away from the environment, and I then apply my mind as to how the MAP methodology can specifically and completely address that need, and then come back to the person. So I'm working with people from I'm talking to companies from a position of their need, as opposed to me trying to sell something to them. In the same way that I engage with people that are part of my circle of influence, as opposed to trying to approach every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. So I don't know if that gives you any kind of clarity, but I think it's important that people listening this evening appreciate that they can engage with MAP4LIFE on a part-time basis. So if you are currently engaged full-time in a engineering position from Monday to Friday, or as an accountant, or as an architect, or as a government official, whatever your background might be, you are able to run a training on a Saturday, for example, once a month, where you can train a bunch of people. You can do online coaching in the evenings. You can run a mentorship session early morning. So there's many places or ways that you could engage. So don't feel that because you're employed, you cannot engage with MAP4LIFE, or because you are already in a business of your own, you can't engage with MAP4LIFE. I think they can be complementary. Remember, MAP4LIFE for you, Bucks, is just another tool in your toolkit. So when you're there operating in your area of expertise, you also have a methodology that is designed to move people from where they are to where they want to be. And you just need to be, maybe change the frame of your glasses, paint them blue. So when you're there, you kind of see everything through the MAP4LIFE eyes. Anyway, thank you so much for asking that. And I think this is a conversation we could continue, but I want to give Ngwadi an opportunity to ask a question from his side, and then we can take these things further, because I think it'll be good for us to discuss them in detail. Ngwadi?
Okay, thank you very much. At this stage here, there's no question for me, but at least I've listened to your response on Buck's question, which in actual fact it's part of broadening, I think, the thinking within MAP4LIFE. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the I like the idea. Here's an interesting term that I would like to share with you this evening. I see MAP4LIFE in the same way that a baker of bread sees yeast. Yeast, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody mix yeast with dough. They have a special teaspoon. It's a tiny, it's like the size of my fingernail, and they take this little bit of yeast and they put it into the dough and they mix it up, and that little bit of yeast begins to permeate all the way through the dough until you can take a piece of the dough and you can seed another piece of dough, because there's enough yeast in there to go somewhere else. And I see MAP4LIFE like that. I see us permeating into every industry, every world, every place. When Bucks walks into an organization, they see him coming in as an HR specialist. They don't know that he's an undercover MAP4LIFE agent. And he's going to come into that organization and he's going to bring his MAP4LIFE knowledge. He's going to share it with them. They're going to see there's something special about this man that they want more of. And Gwadi is going to go to Kinsa, and he's going to be there, or Umtanzani, and he's going to be talking to the young people between the ages of 6 and 18, perhaps. And while he's there as a pastor, while he's there as a mentor to those children, while he's there as an elder, in a sense, in the community, he is going to also be bringing to those young people the skills, the ideas that he's learned in MAP4LIFE. And so I see MAP4LIFE operating in a, is the military term overt? You have covert operations and overt operations, you know, sort of undercover and and obvious. I forget the terminology, but I see MAP4LIFE being like that. So you have a purpose, you have a mandate, but you also have a tool that can help other people find their purpose and discover their mandate. And I think that needs to always be not at the back of your mind, but at the forefront of your mind. So when you engage with somebody who looks like a human being, that you recognize there is a purpose hidden inside there, and you've got a tool to unlock that purpose, to water that seed, to make that person connect with the thing that God has sent them to do, so that they can become fully who they were born to be. That's how I would like to see MAP4LIFE functioning, as opposed to a company where everybody's dressed the same and you understand. I think you've got the gist of what I'm saying. So MAP4LIFE is really for everybody, and it's available to everyone. I hope that that we can explore this a bit further in future sessions. I thought I would do something different tonight and start talking about MAP4LIFE. And I think there will be value in us having a separate session each week that is focused purely on MAP4LIFE, whether it be on different aspects of the methodology or whether it be of items like we've talked about now. I think there's room to have such a discussion where we can have questions asked and people can share ideas. I think that'll be a good thing. So Bucks and Ngwadi, I know you told me earlier this evening that 8 o'clock is bedtime for old people. I got you, Ngwadi. Of course, that's not for you. But for the younger audience out there, they've got to be in bed at 8 o'clock, I'm sure. So we need to say goodnight. Is there just a final comment or final thought that you would like to share, Bucks and Ngwadi, and then we'll end our show?
Glen, yes, certainly. My takeaway for tonight is I'm not selling a product. I have something that can fill a need. And so I'm not selling a product. So totally, it's totally a different approach. So that's definitely my takeaway for this one.
I love that idea. I'm not selling a product. I'm meeting a need. Excellent. Thanks, Bucks. I couldn't have said it better. And Ngwadi?
Thank you. Well, as I'm assisting in 1 or 2 or 3 municipalities of this province, I think what has encouraged me is the MAP4LIFE, because the easiest thing we can do as human beings or as people is just to point fingers and complain and criticize and condemn. Dale Carnegie believes that you don't complain, criticize, and condemn, meaning that we need to do something. I said, okay, even if I'm going to have a little impact, let's say if I'm participating in their audit, risk, and performance committees, and or doing oversight on their work once in a quarter. So at least there is an impact I could be making, even if it's a little impact, but it's much better than to be an armchair critic and then say that, hey, these are failing and all that, and then I don't call. So for me, I think MAP4LIFE has helped me to ensure that at least let me do something contributing than to criticize and complain and condemn. Thank you.
I love that. I was just thinking as you were both speaking that when Bucks goes out there, MAP stands for Management Action Plan. And when Ngwadi goes out there into the world, it's going to be the Municipal Action Plan. And wherever we go, we're going to find a way to map somebody. So for me, it's McQuirk's Action Plan. And of course, for everyone, it's a Master Action Plan. Thank you to Jane from Kampala, to Ronald all the way from Arua, and to you, Bucks and Ngwadi. It's been such a pleasure having you tonight. Thank you for your investment in my life and in the lives of those listening. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you every Wednesday and every Thursday. Good night.
Good night, Glen. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night. Bye.
Muy buenos días a todos. I am Miguel Sanz from Madrid, Spain. I started using MAP4LIFE back in 2016, where this picture here, where I am with Glen, belong to that year in the training I did in Pretoria. And you know, there are many talks, many talks out there in internet, in real life, where great speakers tells you that you are unique, that you need to find your purpose, what you need to do in life. You end up out of those talks really happy, but naked, because you have no tools. What's MAP4LIFE? MAP4LIFE gives you the tools to achieve your goals, to be precise, to do all the things you need to do to achieve them. You are unique. Be mapped.